Hi, my name is RJ Winslet, and this is my speech, Wrestling, a Real Man's Sport. Most people think that wrestling is just a sport where two sweaty, overgrown men wearing spandex grope each other in a ring. They would be surprised to know that only in the past 200 years have these men even wearing clothes. Wrestling is not just a sport where two overgrown, hairy, spandex wearing men grope each other in a ring. It is a sport that even angels participate in. In Genesis 32, Jacob, the son of Abraham, wrestled with an angel for God's glory. Wrestling is one of the oldest, most practiced, and most physically demanding sports in the world. In my speech, I will first talk about the history of wrestling, then I will talk about the styles of wrestling, and finally I will talk about the physical attributes required to be a great wrestler. Wrestling requires hard work and dedication. In the 13th century BC, the Greeks used grappling, an ancient form of wrestling, as a training tool for their military. Wrestling has been counted all over the world. In India, in the Mahabharata, wrestling match between two Hindu deities was described in great detail, with bare arms as their only weapons, roaring like clouds as they grasp each other like two mad elephants encountering each other with their trunks. In Sumerian culture, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the hero Gilgamesh wrestled with Enkidu for his credibility as a leader. All throughout Mesopotamia, the sport of wrestling was viewed as a great sport. Now that you're familiar with some of the history, I will go into detail about the styles of wrestling. Wrestling is broken up into two subcategories: freestyle wrestling, folk style wrestling, and non-folk style wrestling. Folk style wrestling is separated into three different categories: collegiate wrestling, catch wrestling, and Turkish oil wrestling. Collegiate wrestling is separates the wrestlers into different weight classes. The two competitors wrestle each other for 3 periods of 2 minutes. The wrestling match is over when the 3 periods are over, or when one of the wrestlers gets pinned. This style of wrestling is kept rather safe, limiting some of the dangerous moves that wrestling can have. Catch wrestling is basically just organized backyard wrestling. A wrestling match is won when your opponent is submitted or is pinned. Turkish oil wrestling is a style of wrestling in which the wrestlers douse themselves with olive oil and try to stick their arm through their opponent's pants. Kind of funny. This interesting style of wrestling has been practiced in Turkey since the 3rd AD century. The Kirk Pinyar tournament has been held every year since 1362 AD and is the longest running, oldest sport competition in the world. Now on to non-folk style. Non-folk style is separated into 5 subcategories: Greco-Roman wrestling, freestyle wrestling, submission wrestling, beach wrestling, and sambo wrestling. Greco-Roman wrestling is a style that only allows the wrestlers to use their upper bodies. Anything below the belt is illegal. A match is won when a wrestler tosses their opponent to their back. Freestyle wrestling is basically, as the name puts it, they are free to use any style they would like. The main objective in this style of wrestling is to pin the opponent to their back. Submission wrestling is almost identical to freestyle wrestling, except the main objective in submission wrestling is obviously submissions. Beach wrestling is the newest type of wrestling. This style puts 2 wrestlers in a 6-diameter round ring circle in the sand, and the point is to push each other out of the circle or to pin your opponent to the ground. Sambo wrestling is called the melting pot of wrestling. This style puts all forms of wrestling together, and like the other goals, is to toss, pin, or submit your opponent. Now that you know some of the different types of wrestling, let me talk about the skills required to be a great wrestler. Some of the skills required to be a great wrestler can go into many other daily life things: hard work, dedication, being physically fit, and having heart. Hard work is very important to a wrestler. It determines how well you will do in the sport. Dedication is also very important. Without dedication, your skills will not improve. It requires hard work and dedication to train hard and to push yourself. Being physically fit is the #1 priority for most wrestlers. This separates the champions from the wannabes. In my opinion, heart is the most important skill that a wrestler can learn. Because when you're out on the mat, you're not just wrestling your opponent, you're wrestling yourself. All these skills are essential to be a great wrestler. Wrestling has a long history, many different styles, and a lot of different required skills. It may seem to you like a sport where sweaty men grope each other in a ring, but to me, it is a sport where you get a chance to assert your dominance over your opponent. Well, this was wrestling in a nutshell. If you're interested in learning more, grab some headgear, some spandex, a partner, and a mat, and get to going. Who knows, you might find out you're the next Dan Gable.